G'day guys, and welcome back to Winstone Sports Media. I'm your host, as always, Robert Winstone, and it's fair to say I've had a long hiatus since my last video, but it is the brand new month of February the 1st, so it's a punch for the first day of the month. Welcome back, and today's video is going to be my AFL predictions for season 2021. So that being the AFL Premiers, the Coleman medalist, the Charlie, the Brownlow medal, and also I'll be giving you my rise, hold, or fall for all 18 teams, starting from the bottom of the ladder in 2020 all the way to the top of the ladder based on the 2020 AFL Premiership ladder. So it's going to be an exciting video. I'll be giving you significant reasons why I think each team will be either rising, holding, or falling in season 2021. So sit back and enjoy the video. Let's get into it.
We're the pride of South Australia, where the mighty Adelaide Crows.
First side I'll be looking at in today's AFL prediction video is the Adelaide Crows. 2020 was a tough old year for the Crows, finishing 18th with only the 3 wins. Now, if you look at their age profile on their list, you wouldn't say they've got many key players in that age bracket of between 23 to 28. It's mainly their senior players, i.e. 30 plus, like the Rory Sloanes, their captain, the Tex Walkers, who had a really struggling year last year. But I actually have a little bit of sympathy for Tex Walker, and I'm really interested to see how his role will go under Matthew Nicks in season 2021. Last year, the young Crows midfielders just really bombed the ball on top of the big Tex's head. And, you know, if you're going to have 3 defenders v1, let alone Tex Walker's lost a yard, I think anyone would struggle in that position. So I've got a little bit of sympathy for the big Tex. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can produce in season 2021. I think Rory Sloane will be a great captain. He's going to be one of their, top 5, I suppose, players every game. And he just provides that calmness, that leadership that every footy club really does need. And I'm impressed with some of the youngsters they brought in. They brought in Rolly Hillthorpe, a tall forward. He can go back, kick a goal, take a great mark, and also pinch it in the ruck. Well, they also brought in Luke Pedlar. He's a forward with pick number 11. So it'll be good to see how those two work together. I think the Crows, they're going to be a hold for me, unfortunately, for the boys in Adelaide. But I think they've got an exciting future. And under coach Matthew Nicks, they've just got to rise to the occasion, work out their game style, work out exactly what they're all about. But unfortunately for the Crows, it's a hold for me.
Good old North Melbourne, they're champions, you'll agree. North Melbourne is the team that plays to win for you and
me. The next one we
me.
look at is the North Melbourne Kangaroos. The boys from Martin Street, well, boy, did they struggle in season 2020, finishing 17th. And just like the Adelaide Crows, with only the 3 wins. You've got to remember back 12 months ago, there was a lot of optimism for the Kangaroos with new coach Rhys Shaw, who's no longer there. And they really thought they could really rise up the ladder quite quickly. Unfortunately for them, it fell to bits pretty quickly. But I think with new coach David Noble, he brings a lot of experience and respect. He's been in the footy industry for a long period of time. So expect, a coach will be teaching his players, and I suppose they've got a really young list to work with the likes of the 2 first rounders that came in, Will Phillips and Tom Powell. So it'll be interesting to see how those guys come into the system. It's going to be really building from the ground up, brick by brick, so to speak. And I think this is year 1 of their journey towards, I suppose, building a side and building a roster that's going to be good enough to contend for finals. And I suppose the 2 big outs, Ben Brown and also Shaun Higgins. Brown goes to Melbourne, kicked 6 goals just the other day in an intra-club match. And Shaun Higgins, well, he's going to provide a lot of depth, but he's going to be 33 years of age. And it's going to be interesting to see how he goes at Geelong. But for me, it's a hold.
It's here the red and the white, honour the name by day and by night. Lift that noble banner high, shake down the thunder from the sky.
The next side we'll be having a look at is the Sydney Swans. 2020, they finished 16th, and it's fair to say they never got any continuity within their injuries, within their style of play, And by the end, Coach John Longmire was playing a whole bunch of young kids. And it's, for the first time in a long time, they missed the finals. I've got a lot of optimism about the Sydney Swans. I think their fortunes really rely on their senior players. And let's be honest, we haven't seen Buddy Franklin in almost 2 years of senior footy. And I hope the big fella in his veteran stage can get fit, firing, and get out on the park. Because if he can even be half the player that we have seen in the past, the Swans are going to do a lot better than they did last year. One big out for them, I think, is Alia. Really great backman, and he's going to add a lot of depth to Port Adelaide and their quest to go one better than they did last year. But for the Swans, you look at some of their senior players, Dane Rampy, Isaac Heaney, Luke Parker, Tom Papley, and they bring in a young kid named Logan McDonald, a first rounder. And it's going to be really good to see how that young kid fits into the Sydney Swans system. For me, I'm going to go a little bit of a smoky approach. I think if they can get more right on the field than wrong, that being injuries and the continuity within their style of play with their younger players, and they do develop them quickly at the Sydney Swans, and you can never underestimate a great coach in John Longmire. For me, they're going to rise up the ladder. Will they make the finals? I'll make a big call right now. The Sydney Swans will sneak in to the top 8 in season 2021.
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty fighting horse. We love our club and we play to...
Season 2020 was an absolute struggle for the Hawthorn Hawks, with only the 5 wins and finishing 15th on the AFL ladder. Coach Alistair Clarkson has been known for pulling all sorts of rabbits out of the old hat, but I think his bag of tricks could be up with an ageing list and some questionable young talent on their current list. I feel the Hawthorn Hawks are going to plateau. And I know Alistair Clarkson's got a contract in front of him for the next couple of seasons, but I feel like the GOAT coach of the modern era may have just run his race. Just an opinion, of course, and that's why football is so good. It's there to be had, and I think I'm being pretty harsh on the Hawks. They're going to hold. They won't be going up, nor will they be going down the ladder. So I think around about the bottom 4 will be where the Hawthorn Hawks will end up in season 2021. Interesting to see. Ben McAvoy, big boy, leads the charge this year. And, they've got some notably good players. Tom Mitchell, James Warpole, the Warpedo, Sean Burgoyne. He's like the Benjamin Button, but he's going to be in his last year. And Yago Mira, I think he's past his best. But it's a bit of a wait and see. So for me, the Hawthorn Hawks will hold in season 2021.
We are the sons of the Gold Coast sky. We are one in the red, gold and blue. We are the mighty Gold Coast Suns. We play to win the flag for you.
Now the next team, the Gold Coast Suns, I find them extremely intriguing with such a fantastic list. They'll be going into season 2021 as the least experienced out of all 18 AFL sides. But I look at their upside, and Stewie Jew would be absolutely licking his chops. Figure of speech, of course. But you look at their names, some of their midfielders, Braden Fiorini, Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell comes back into the fold after injuring himself. And Isaac Rankin, what a forward he was, and Will Powell are some of the young guns that will lead the force in season 2021 for the Gold Coast Suns. 2020, they came charging out of the blocks, but then plateaued. But I feel, will they make the 8? No, they won't. But I feel like their upside's a hell of a lot better than their downside. And I can see some real sunrise at the Suns, and I feel like they'll be going up the ladder in season 2021. So for me, they'll be rising, and I think they'll just be missing out on the 8 in season 2021.
See the bombers fly up, up. We are the teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the bombers fly up.
Interesting team, the next one, the Bombers. 6 wins in 2020, and I feel like Ben Rutten has got a huge job in front of him. To be honest, I just can't see it. I can't see where the growth is going to come from. And I feel like even like a young player like an Irving Mosquito, an excitement machine, but where does their growth come from? Big question mark. Dyson Heppel, he's coming to the later stages of his career. McDonald, Tip and Woody, we know what he can produce. You know, you look at some of the other players like a Sam Draper, Zach Merritt. They've got some good players, and Aaron Francis. But I feel like the Bombers have sort of plateaued. And if you're a Bombers fan, 2004 was the last time they won a final, and 2004 was the last time they made the final. So for me, they'll be missing the finals yet again. I just can't see enough growth from their young players. And, you know, their older players are only getting older, like a David Zaharakis has been an absolute stalwart for the red and black. But for me, the Bombers, they'll be holding, finishing somewhere in between 11th and 15th. Now, this team is an extremely interesting one. The Fremantle Dockers. I thought at times played pretty well in season 2020, but for the most part just simply lacked the depth to, I suppose, win enough games to really get themselves to that top 8 position. But with players, obviously, we know Brownlow medalist, 2-time Brownlow medalist, and what a special player he is. Nat Fyfe, I think that he's going to lead through the midfield. But if you look at some of their other midfielders, such as Andrew Brayshaw, Michael Walters can play through the midfield and also forward. James Aish, former Brisbane Lion, I like his game, and I thought he took steps to improve in season 2020. Darcy Tucker, Blake Acres, and Darcy Sarong, a group of young midfielders that can really push the Fremantle Dockers up the ladder. And for me, they're going to be rising up the ladder. Will they make the 8? Big question mark. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think they'll be finishing sort of around that between 7th to sort of 12th mark, and it's a bit of a wait and see for me with the Fremantle Dockers.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down.
Now, a team that I absolutely love to hate, the Carlton Blues. I've got nothing but pure respect for the Blue Boys, absolute respect for the boys down at Icon Park. But for me and David Teague, there is no more excuses. The Blues have simply got a list where they can not only challenge for finals, but potentially make the finals and win a final. The Blues haven't won a final since they broke my heart in 2013. And 2021, this is the rocket call, the boost of the ship, and they're going to make the 8 in season 2021. If they don't, it's going to be a massive fail, a massive letdown. But you look at some of their players. 2 players in particular that brought in, Zach Williams and Adam Sard from Essendon. He is a halfbacker, an absolute running machine he is. He can hit a target, and basically they went in, they bought a beautiful halfbacker, and that's the kind of player that they missed in season 2020. And some notable players, I think Charlie Curnow, if he can come back from that knee injury, that's going to be a huge inclusion for the Blue Boys. Levo Casbolt, the much maligned Levo Casbolt, but for the way they structure up, he's so important up in that forward line and can also pinch hit in the ruck. Jack Martin, a very silky smooth player on his day, can be a game breaker. But for me, Paddy Cripps, he's been carrying that side for the last 7 years, but it's now time that whole team is going to be ready and rocking for finals. So for me, Carlton, the big riser in my 18-team summary. So for me, Carlton will finish 6th on the ladder in season 2021. Don't let me down, Blue Boys.
There's a big, big sound from the west of the town. It's the sound of the mighty Giants. Feel the ground is shaking. The other teams are quaking in their boots before the Giants.
The next cab off the rank is the GWS Giants. Now, they finished 10th in season 2020, and for me, they are run and done as far as being a premiership threat. Their senior players, the likes of Phil Davis, Stephen Coniglio, Callan Ward, Toby Green, what a machine he is, but I think the GWS are simply not going to have the required talent, especially with the outs of Jerry Cameron. They bring in Jesse Hogan as a like-for-like, but for me, GWS, they're going to be somewhere in the middle pack, and they'll hold between 10th and about 12th.
Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should all acquaintance people come, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
Now, this side is the most intriguing out of the 18 teams in the AFL. In 2018, they made a preliminary final. 2019, finished 17th. but in 2020 they rose back up to 9th. The Melbourne Demons, I feel that their list is simply too talented not to make the 8. And for me, they're going to be a massive riser in season 2021. It's simple as this. The best ruckman in the league, as far as I'm concerned, Maxi Gawn. Clayton Oliver is coming into his own and probably coming to his best form within his career. Jack Viney is tough as nails through that midfield, the captain. Also, Ben Brown is a huge inclusion. How North Melbourne let him go for absolute peanuts and a packet of salt and vinegar chips, I don't know. And James Petrarca, well, we all know what he brings to the foray. For me, the D's, they're going right up the ladder. Top 4 for me in season 2021.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name.
Now we'll go to the 8th place side from 2020, the Collingwood Magpies. Now, Nathan Buckley spoke really well in the media through their almost disastrous off-season when they lost Adam Treloar and Jaden Stephenson via the trade. How they let Treloar go, I understand, massive deal, but he's going to be a huge loss. In his prime, at the age of 28, the Doggies have picked an absolute jet up there. For me, the Collingwood Magpies, they'll be sliding this year. They'll be going down the ladder and falling. So to all the Magpie supporters, I'm sorry. I do like your list, but there's just too many holes in that list.
Sons of the West, red, white, and blue. We come out snarling, Bulldogs through and through.
Next team off the rank is the Western Bulldogs, finishing 7th in season 2020 with 10 wins. I feel like Marcus Bontempelli, what an absolute jet he is. They add Adam Treloar. Caleb Daniel just keeps on keeping on. And I feel like an Aaron Norton is going to go to all new heights this year. And for me, the Doggies are going to be big risers this season. I think they'll finish in the top 4. I really do believe that, you know, the majority of that 2016 Premiership side is still there and they've got an abundance of talent. So for me, the Doggies will be risers in season 2020.
West Coast Eagles, and we're here to show you why we're the big birds.
West Coast Eagles, they are a very interesting prospect. Bit of an aging list now, the West Coast, but I feel like they're going to hold. I feel like they're just simply too good with the likes of Tim Kelly, Nick Natanui in the ruck, and Josh Kennedy goes on yet again. He's the age of 33. Jack Darling, 2 big guns. I feel like they're going to be one of the slower, better sides. And I feel like they're going to be unstoppable on their home deck. So for me, West Coast, holding. They'll make the 8. Won't really move too much. And it's going to be another successful year for the West Coast Eagles in season 2021.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, when the Saints go marching in. Oh, how I want to be with St Kilda when the Saints go marching in.
The Saints, another interesting team. They finished 6th last year. They won their first final for a long time. And I feel like the Saints, they're going to hold. I don't think they'll finish in the top 4. They add Jack Higgins, Snags from the Tigers. I think their depth, I mean, you look at Jack Steele, Rowan Marshall, they've got a plethora of great midfielders, Bradley Hill, Seb Ross. I mean, the list goes on. If Dan Hanbury can stay away from injury, Paddy Ryder was instrumental for the Saints' fortunes as well. So for me, it's a hold. They'll make the finals and they've got an ever-growing great list. So Saints supporters, get pumped up for a big season 2021.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball.
Geelong, grand finalist in season 2020. They had the Tigers on the absolute ropes in that second quarter, but I feel like they weren't accurate enough to, I suppose, hold the Tigers out, and then Richmond ended up winning the 2020 Premiership. For me, they've brought in some of the players, Isaac Smith from the Hawks. They've brought in Jeremy Cameron, what an absolute signing, and also Sean Higgins from North Melbourne. But I feel like they're a very aging list. They're almost like the dad's list. You know, I know the dad bod's in it a little bit at the minute, but for me, it's not going to take a lot to go wrong at Geelong. And I feel if everything goes right, they'll make the top 4 and they're going to be very successful. And especially with a lot of home games at the Cattery, they never seem to lose at the Cattery over the years. But it's a big question mark for mine. Yes, they'll hold. I'm going to back them in to make the 8, but I don't think it's going to take a lot wrong. They could fall off the canvas very quickly and very vastly if it doesn't go right. All it takes is a few injuries. So for me, it's their last chance at a tilt at the Premiership with the dad squad, the dad bods. So best of luck to the Geelong Cats. For me, holding top 4, but as I said, with a bit of a question mark, it won't take a lot for them to go wrong, but good luck to the Cats.
We're from Tigerland, a fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin.
Boys from Punt Road, well, what can I say? 3 out of the last 4, they've built a dynasty. Now, I know Damien Hardwick, there's been a bit of controversy about who he's dating in the off-season, but for me, that won't tear the footy club apart. They're just too much of a well-drilled unit, and all the media talk about the Tigers and, you know, will that affect their fortunes for the season 2021? I highly doubt it. They're too much of a united group. They've got a real machine down there at the Tigers. One soldier in for the next, so to speak. So even if one of their players isn't playing so well, they bring in the next best player and they just play their system. They play their roles. There's no doubt about it. Dustin Martin always comes into form at the right time of the year. If you have my life on anyone tearing a final apart out of the current day players, it's Dustin Martin by an absolute mile. And for me, the Tigers, they will hold. They'll make the top 4. And can they create an absolute dynasty? We'll wait and see. But it's going to be interesting. But the Tigers, they return to the home of football in season 2021. And I feel like the Tigers will be right up there contending yet again. The Brisbane Lions, the young guns from up in Queensland, they will hold for me. They're going to be a fantastic side and led by Lachie Neale, Brownlow medalist last year. I like Mitch Robertson. He's a bit of a grunt player, in and under, tough. And I just feel like they're going to improve. I mean, there's no reason they won't. They were pretty unlucky not to, I suppose, I think maybe the moment last year caught them off guard with Geelong. They just didn't rock up for the occasion, that being the preliminary final. But with a young gun list, Chris Fagan is an absolute great coach. And for me, they're going to hold sway. Brisbane Lions will finish top 4.
Port Adelaide aggression, we are the power from Port. It's more than a sport, it's a true Port Adelaide tradition.
Port Adelaide power, they just kept on keeping on last year. And for me, they'll hold sway. They'll finish top 4. I'm not sure if they'll finish first, but they'll finish somewhere in the top echelon. And a huge in for them is Alia. I feel that he's going to add so much depth to that back line. And Travis Boak, this is their last chance. And it'll be great to, I think, hold up the Premiership Cup. It's all in or nothing for the power this year. Got some really good veterans, some really good middle tier players as well. I love the way Sam Powell-Pepper goes about it and the like. So for me, the boys from Alberton, Port Power, this is your year to rise, and I feel like you're going to hold sway. But yeah, you'll certainly be finishing in the top 4 in season 2021. So let's go to the Coleman medal. My prediction will be the big spearhead forward, Tommy Lynch. I think he's taken the #1 role in the last 2 seasons for the boys at Punt Road. Jack Riewoldt in the veteran stage of his career. His contract ends at the end of 2021, and I do think this will be Jack Riewoldt's last year. And I think Tommy Lynch will take over the reins, and he'll be the dominant forward, and he'll win the Coleman medal in my eyes. A couple of big performances in finals in the last couple of years, and I think that delivery from the that Richmond midfielders, you know, the Martins, the Cotchins, the Shai Boltons, and even, I suppose, someone like a Jaden Short, they all can hit targets, and Dan Rioli as well in that forward line. So for me, it is the big spearhead, Tommy Lynch, who will be taking out the 2021 Coleman medal. Now, the Brownlow medal, it is a midfielder's award, and I feel this is going to be the year of approximately 3 midfielders who are going to be in contention. Maybe 4. Nat Fyfe, he could win a 3rd Brownlow medal. But will Fremantle win enough games? But he proved that in 2019 you don't have to win enough games as they finish outside the finals. I think another chance is Paddy Cripps. I feel like if Carlton rise up the ladder and he gets more support through that midfield, Paddy Cripps will be right up there. Marcus Bontempelli, he's always a poll getter. He's a vote getter, and I feel like if the Dogs can, hold sway or even rise up the ladder, he's going to get a lot of votes. And Lachie Neale yet again. If Brisbane continue the way that they've been playing under a great coach in Chris Fagan, I feel like those are the 4 top contenders. But for me, I think Paddy Cripps, this is his year. This is the year that he'll win a Brownlow medal. So for me, the 2021 Brownlow medalist taken home Charlie will be Paddy Cripps. Now, season 2020 was interesting, but the Tigers, they won back-to-back premierships, and I don't think it's going to be any different in season 2021. You look at their list, you look at their age profile, and you look at their experience when they come up in finals, it's second to none. They've essentially been in the top 4 for the past 4 seasons in a row, and they don't look like slowing down. And with players such as Dustin Martin, Trent Cotchin, and Jack Riewoldt, I suppose in their prime and still right at the top of their game, you had a Tommy Lynch in there, and the younger players just keep on keeping on and getting better. A Shai Bolton, Daniel Rioli, and the like. For me, the Tigers will hold sway and create a dynasty by winning a 3-peat, 3 in a row, and 4 out of 5. That's my predictions, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the AFL 2021 season predictions. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe, like, and share to all your friends. Appreciate your support, and stay tuned for the next of Winstone Sports Media's videos. Take care. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please make sure to give it a like. And if you want to check out some of my other videos, please make sure you click the subscribe button and give Winstone Sports Media a subscribe and follow. Thank you so much.